Hello everyone. Today I'm going to introduce to you layout values. And I'm going to go on teaching you how to block your layout using Illustrator. Blocking your layout meaning we're going to put our sketch into Illustrator and use Illustrator tools to create that sketch in more of a vector graphic form. Then I'm going to teach you how to change values of elements on a page to create hierarchy, more like balancing each element, which ones are more important, which ones should be little faded but still important, and how to implement a modernist layout using the grid. So, what is value in design? Value in a design sense is darkness and lightness of an object or objects. It is important that we understand this when designing our layouts for our future web design. For example, I did a little kind of on purpose example of the title. This is a pinkish, right in here is a light gray, but which stands out the most? I would have to say the pink and the words layout values. The gray is kind of hidden. So I'm going to teach you how to balance these colors and how to, if this gray was important, how to make that stand out, and is this pink really necessary or this element very necessary. So now I'm going to go on setting up my sample layout by building multiple boxes using several shades of gray and white to help determine the more important elements on the page. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to do is also talk about something called lorem ipsum. And let me bring that up. Lorem ipsum is dummy text that web designers like to use when setting up a sample website. It's dummy text, so everything does not make sense. They're just nonsense words that doesn't mean anything. That's why it's called dummy text. But it adds that graphical help to us when we're creating our websites. So it's kind of like, instead of spending all night or all day writing sentences of all kinds of words, here's just some dummy text we use just to help us view or imagine what our website would look like if we had real text. So this is, I just want to show you lorem ipsum. You can go to google.com, type in www.lipsum.com. So that's what I wanted to show you first, because we're going to use that later in the lesson. So let's go to our blank document. And I already scanned in my layout, which you have seen from the previous video. So what we're going to do first, like I said, we're going to block this layout. We're going to use Illustrator tools and create all these boxes so we can really see what this is going to look like. So let's go to our rectangle tool and let's just start making boxes. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way towards the top. So all I'm doing is just creating these boxes. Now this is a neat trick. I want to take this box, and this box, but I don't want it to be 3 different boxes. I want to somehow unite them. So I'm going to select all 3. And then if you don't have Pathfinder up already, you can go to Window, Pathfinder, and make sure there's a check by it. And then I'm going to go into Shape Modes, and I'm going to push Unite, which is the first option. And now it's one shape. I'm going to Alt, click, Shift, drag up, and make a copy. And I'm just going to bring that down just a little bit. There we go. So we've got our two shapes, or our three shapes. So now it looks like I added a little line separating the topic from the main content. So let's add that. And let's go back to the top because we don't want to play with the text just yet. And let's add this box. I'm going to choose a different color for this just so we can specify what it is. And then there also was a floating logo right in here. And I'm going to change the color of that as well, just to specify where all the elements are. Now I have to create this kind of flashcard fill box. So I'm going to make some rectangles. And I'm going to use that option in Pathfinder again and unite. Now I want this to be behind everything. So there we go. Now I'm going to add these tabs. Give that a different color. Alt click Shift. Alt click Shift. Just like that. Alright? Okay. So now we're getting everything ready. So we did have titles right up here on the links, so let's just put those in. So it was layout, type, color, and imagery. So layout. We're just going to drag that over here. Alt Shift. Alt Shift. Oops. Alt click Shift. So let me look at that again. Layout, type, color, imagery. Layout, type, color, and imagery. So there we go. And then we had a word that said topic right above the line. Okay, so now I'm going to take this background away, and now I'm going to teach you how to use the colors, the grays, and the white to determine what is really important of this whole website. So if we start with the darkest, it's saying that this whole section is more important than the content because that's the darker. So we want to make this lighter. Well, first, since these are white, let's create this kind of like a lighter gray. We're going to make this a lighter gray as well. We want the background to be important, but not as important than the content. We want the logo to be important as well. But, you know, it seems a little too big, a little too bold. So I'm going to make that a light gray as well. Now, the links. The links seem a little too bold too. So now you need to remember, at this time we're talking about design. We're talking about layout values. I'm sorry about that. Layout values is what we're talking about. And we're using color to specify the important elements. Now, since these are just plain black, that's saying that these titles are important than everything else on the page, which is not true. So we need to lighten up that a bit. I'm going to give it that kind of gray. And okay, so it's actually coming together. It's coming together. There's this accent line right up here. I want that to be specified a little bit. So I'll give that a little dark gray too. So there's our layout we have. Now I have to admit, when I first traced this, it didn't look so well. It kind of made me confused of what I was thinking in the first place of sketching this on paper. So, to be honest, I changed my design. I did keep some same elements, but I ended up changing it. So I'm going to show you what I changed and why I changed it, and I'm going to show you that I applied the layout values and how I used it to create hierarchy. So let's go on to the layouts that I created. Here's the first one. So what I did in here, you can zoom in a little bit. Zoom out. Okay, so what I created here, I created this box. So I did everything pretty much the same. I left the topic and the line separating, but I did change the content boxes. I put rounded corners on them, but this just seemed more organized, more clean, less than so squished and cluttered. I decided to have the logo bleeding off from the top left, and I still left the two accent kind of colors, making this accent a little thinner. It was more like right there, but I wanted it a little right there. So I used a darker kind of gray on the background because the background is very important in this design, as well as this accent color. I put the type very simple, very lighter gray to specify that these are important, but so is the content. See, in the content I use lorem ipsum just to see, how it looks, and it looks pretty good. But I have to admit, this design was still kind of questioning to me, and I still didn't feel like this was the right design. So what I did was I played with this one as well and came up with my final design. And here it is. So here's my final design. I made these tabs right up here, and I like this design a lot. In this design, it seems everything is so squished, so tight together. This, I believe, it seems more open, more modernist. I did use the grid layout rule. I have been using modernist design for this layout and design. I wanted these to be the video boxes, and I put it a little darker gray just to tell you that it is very important. I put the topic in with the content in the topic box, and I left the logo a darker gray to specify that it is very important. As the footer, I left it a lighter gray to complement the content boxes. So that is what I did for this. I did leave the accents right up here along with the logo being very important. I left that a darker gray. So if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to comment below, and I will hopefully get another tutorial up as soon as possible. Thank you.